Two unknown girls shake hands as the skinny one emphasizes the importance of combining their strength in such moments, while the fat girl expresses her relief at finding someone who shares her thoughts. A sudden betrayal occurs, and the clever skinny girl stabs the second girl, while she remarks that paying attention is essential and questions the second girl's ability to wield a sword after shaking hands so carelessly. The system awards an achievement, Dirty Murderer, and increases durability by 1 point. Han Sung-yong observes the situation as his teammate mentions their shared desire for achievement and advises him not to be a hypocrite. Without warning, the teammate seizes an opportunity and attacks Sun-young, shouting, "Die!" In a swift move, Sun-young appears behind his opponent and stabs him with his spear. The injured opponent is puzzled by Sun-young's agility. The system then announces that Sun-young has earned the Traitor achievement, increasing his strength by 1. To Sun-young, the special trial, or the combined trail challenge, seems much like any other event. He hopes to improve his unique traits and proficiency. If luck is on his side, he might even gain a valuable skill. Sun-young doesn't plan to actively seek out other challengers to harm, but he won't ignore those who attack him either. The hunter activates an iron dome with an evil smile, confident that his proficiency with water attribute magic makes him a perfect candidate for this type of challenge. Suddenly, Sun-young rushes towards him at a rapid pace, leaping in his direction. The operator, bewildered, starts to laugh, claiming their iron dome is impenetrable. However, Sun-young manages to break the dome and delivers a forceful kick to the operator's face, causing them to be thrown back and bleed profusely. Sun-young, while feeling that his actions may have been somewhat harsh, effectively deters other approaching hunters, some of whom question if he might be a ranker. Sun-young remains seated, observing the fleeing hunters. He contemplates that he desires achievements but doesn't want to engage in unnecessary violence. The system notification reminds everyone that tile capturing is in progress, with 9 minutes and 59 seconds remaining, emphasizing the need to prevent enemies from stepping on the tile to halt the capturing process. He thinks that all he needs to do is endure these remaining minutes on this tile. He believes that the higher-ranked challengers who didn't use a return stone on the 5th floor have likely already completed the 6th floor, challenging it immediately afterward. Most of the challengers around him are of lower rank, which might be why this floor seems relatively easy. The trials of the 6th floor have led him to contemplate various things like the need to be cautious of others, the challenging reality faced by lower-ranked challengers, and the overall somber nature of the Tower of Trials. He acknowledges that misplaced compassion can be a form of hypocrisy. He understands that even if he chooses to spare the challengers who came at him and directs them to another tile, someone may still end up losing their life. The system alerts that someone has invaded Sun-young's tile, halting the capturing process. A 4-man team arrives on his tile, and one of them jests about Sun-young's apparent surprise at the presence of 4 people in a trial meant for 2. In response, Sun-young doesn't hold back and accuses them of being a gang of bullies who teamed up to gain achievements through violence. One of the intruders confirms Sun-young's suspicion and curses at him. 2 of them leap towards Sun-young, who gets up, ready to fight. Their mage employs Heart Solidarity, causing a purple Q to appear on Sun-young's chest. The system explains that due to this unique trait, Kim Jin-hyun's pain is shared with Sun-young. Kim Jin-hyun takes out a dagger and stabs his own hand, causing Sun-young to feel the pain and drop his sword. He then activates Pain Resistance, which reduces all types of pain by 15%. One of the intruders throws water on Sun-young, taunting him with the fact that he's now wet. The system immediately informs Sun-young the consequences, stating that touching the water from the trial results in a penalty, a decrease of 10 in strength, agility, and stamina, with a time penalty of 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Sun-young is surprised by this penalty, thinking it's quite severe. However, he gets excited and mentions that if he were a normal challenger, it would indeed be a grave situation. As one of them swings his sword with full strength, Sun-young expertly dodges the attack and points out that their plan to steal weapons to lower their stats was clever, but they made a big mistake. Sun-young then grabs one of the intruders by the face and slams him into the ground, proclaiming that they chose the wrong opponent. The group is taken aback by his strength and resolve. The system then awards Sun-young the achievement 1 Hit 1 Kill and creates a new skill, Extinction of the Weak. With a rank of F, a skill window appears, displaying that the skill's proficiency is currently at 0% and its effect increases the user's strength proportionally if any of their stats are higher than their opponent's. As Sun-young deals with one of the gangsters, another approaches from behind, shouting for him to die. The system notes that the enemy's stats are lower than Sun-young's, activating his skill, Extinction of the Weak. His strength increases by 1, and in a swift move, Sun-young disappears, hitting the attacker in the face with his knee and following up with a powerful kick. The system awards him the Merciless Murder achievement, increasing his agility by 1. With only 2 frightened gangsters left, they consider their options. The mage gangster suggests attacking together, while the other gangster unsheathes his sword and cuts one of the mage's legs. The mage screams in pain, and Sun Yung, sharing the pain due to his skill, also feels it, causing him to drop to one knee. Sun Yung reflects on their shared pain, relieved that it doesn't inflict actual damage on him, though it does limit his movements. The mage gangster screams and questions Sun Yung's humanity. As the gangster stabs the mage in the stomach, he threatens to slit the mage's throat as Sun Yung gets in closer. Sun Yung realizes that he can still move due to his pain-resistant skill, but it's challenging to maneuver. Knowing that using heart solidarity is the only way to swiftly eliminate the remaining challengers, Sun Yung hurls his shield with full force, decapitating the mage. The intense pain shoots through his neck, but doesn't deter him. The gangster, realizing he has a limited opportunity, charges towards Sun Yung, swinging his sword. Sun Yung grabs the sword between both of his hands and taunts the gangster, offering him a taste of the thrill of slitting throats. The gangster, realizing the dire situation, smiles nervously and admits defeat. Sun Yung breaks his sword and beheads him. The system announces that Sun Yung has earned the Iron Blood Climber achievement, gaining 1,500 points. The time limit is reached, and Sun Yung successfully captures the tile. The remaining hunters express their joy and relief, celebrating their survival. Sun Yung ponders whether the initial surge in murder achievements was instigated by someone, leading many to engage in violence. In the end, those who persevered as a team emerged victorious. He observes other hunters and wonders if he appears like a monster in their eyes. The system congratulates him on completing the 6th floor of the Tower of Trials, rewarding him with a random gacha box of rank B as inventory and 8,000 points. He's informed that he'll be moved to the lobby. As he absorbs the souls of the hunters he defeated, the system reveals that his unique trait, Necromancy, has reached 100% proficiency and increased in rank to Necromancy rank D. Upon entering the 7th floor's lobby, Sun Yung is informed by the system that the achievement viewing function has been activated. Sun Yung expresses curiosity and decides to check out his achievements. He notices a substantial number of achievements he's acquired and then remarks that the S-rank achievement, the first returner, wasn't an ordinary one. Sun Yung proceeds to examine the details of his achievements, recognizing that he earned many of them through less savory means, such as murder. These achievements also come with various rewards, including skills, stats points, and more. He decides to open the rank B random gacha box. The system describes it as a box with a yellow ribbon, guaranteeing a random item ranging from F to B rank when opened. Sun Yung contemplates the ambiguity of the reward from the 6th floor, not expecting too much since it could be anywhere from F to B rank. He decides to open the gacha box, stating that he should just take whatever comes and then proceed to absorb the souls. As the box is open, a small, strange creature, a mix between a goblin and a dog-like monster, leaps out. Sun Yung is taken aback and puzzled by the unexpected appearance. He wonders if he's supposed to catch the creature or if it has any significance. Sun Yung chases after the small monster, attempting to catch it, but initially struggles. However, he manages to jump and grab the creature. Sun Yung feels triumphant, but his victory is short-lived as the monster suddenly bites his hand. Sun Yung screams in pain and releases the creature. Infuriated, he declares that he had been going easy on it due to its cuteness, but is now prepared to go all out. Sun Yung launches himself towards the monster, which also jumps upward. Sun Yung, with a higher jump, spins around and prepares to strike. He delivers a powerful punch to the monster's head, resulting in a critical hit. The monster's head turns red and it pops like a balloon. The system then congratulates Sun Yung, revealing that he has obtained the best-ranked item from the random box. Sun Yung examines the obtained item, an iron pendant with a rank B, and reads the item window. It's described as an iron pendant imbued with the soul of a blacksmith who dedicated their life to working with iron. The pendant enhances metallurgy and sword skill effects by 7% and allows the activation of the exclusive effect Iron's Protection when using magic power continuously, with no cooldown. Sun Yung decides to try out the exclusive skill Iron's Protection. As he grabs the pendant, the system confirms that the skill has been activated. His skin takes on a property that absorbs 10% of all physical damage, and his sword skill effects receive a 7% increase. Sun Yung is quite impressed with the rank B pendant, recognizing its powerful combination of attack and defense properties. He smiles and remarks that he didn't expect much, but he ended up with an amazing item. As he puts on the pendant, the system promptly informs him that all of his magic power has been consumed, deactivating the exclusive skill Iron's Protection. Sun Yung realizes that this exclusive effect consumes magic power rapidly and decides that he should use it sparingly, reserving it for important moments. Next, Sun Yung considers checking his unique trait, which has advanced to D rank. However, the system surprises him by asking if he wants to enter the 7th floor trial immediately. He wonders if he doesn't need to wait to challenge the next trial and whether this option is available to everyone. Sung-yoon checks the community tab and notices a message from the tower's spirit, which mentions that the waiting time for the trial has disappeared. He realizes that everyone's wait time has vanished, and this development doesn't seem to have garnered much interest among the participants. He speculates that the low-ranking challengers might be more focused on going home than the pioneer benefits. Additionally, he senses a different atmosphere compared to the 6th floor, likely due to the impending individual trial. Sung-young is cautious about the possibility of encountering murderous individuals who had no qualms about killing their own teammates. He understands that standing out in such a situation offers no benefits. He resolves to be careful and, most importantly, to further improve his unyielding skill. Sung-yoon decides to inspect his unique trait, Necromancy, which has now reached a D rank with a proficiency of 0% following the events of the 6th floor. The basic effect is described. He can absorb the souls of the dead to enhance or recover his stats and magic power. In addition, he can use a soul to protect his physical body, but the amount of damage the soul can absorb is proportional during its use. He reflects on the newfound specificity of the basic effect, allowing him to use souls for magic power and as a shield. He had hoped for an increased chance of absorbing his skill, but didn't get it. However, he acknowledges the need for a defensibility. Sun-yu decides to test the effectiveness of the soul shield by throwing his dagger upward, knowing he can rely on the lobby's reverting effect if anything goes wrong. As the dagger is about to cut his arm, a red shield appears on his hand, stopping the blade. The system informs him that the soul has absorbed his injury, and the soul of a player named Son Junuk has disappeared. Sung-young smiles, realizing that this ability is better than he had anticipated. He plans to reserve some of the possessed souls to use as shields when needed. Sung-yoon checks the trial leaderboard and notes that he has slipped to the 4th place. He acknowledges the disappointment of dropping by 1 rank, but considers it unimportant. His main goal is to remain within the top 50 to achieve pioneer status. Feeling bored with testing things in the lobby, especially since the wait time is gone, he decides it's time to move on to the next trial. Sun-young enters the portal to the 7th floor, and the system informs him of the new trial's details. The difficulty is marked as hard, the subject is verification, and there is a time limit of 40 minutes. The completion conditions involve finishing 3 trials within the allotted time. Sung-young finds himself inside a corridor, but it's different from the previous trials, and he expresses annoyance at not being able to sense anything in this new environment. As Sun-young walks down the corridor, he spots a light at the end. The system informs him that he has entered the area of the first trial and instructs him to prove that he has overcome his fear. To his surprise, he finds himself standing in the desert, the same location as the tutorial trial. Sung-young realizes that something colossal is emerging from the ground. He identifies it as a sand golem, and it dawns on him that this trial appears to be a recreation of the tutorial trial. He considers that he could easily defeat the sand golem with his eyes closed, pondering whether this means he can progress to the 8th floor swiftly. The sand golem is immense, towering like a building, making Sung-young seem minuscule in comparison. He smiles and muses that it appears to be 3 times larger than he remembers. As the sand golem readies itself to attack, Sung-young prepares for the impending battle. Sung-young readies his weapon and shield, feeling an intense rush of excitement as he faces the sand golem. He welcomes the challenge, eager to battle the colossal creature. The golem's punch hurtles towards Sung-young, but he leaps towards the golem with agility. Running along the golem's massive hand, he steps onto its head and jumps to a great height. Sung-young is puzzled by the absence of the core stone, which is typically the vital point of a sand golem. He wonders if it's deeper within its massive body due to its immense size. Suddenly, the golem turns around with surprising speed and grabs Sung-young. In response, Sung-young swiftly cuts the golem's hand into countless pieces, leaving him standing on its arm. He comments that if slicing it up doesn't work, he'll continue to do so. However, he notices the sand golem beginning to regenerate, confirming his suspicion that simply cutting the sand won't suffice. Sung-young is determined to find the core stone and destroy it. As the golem becomes increasingly agitated, Sung-young remarks that he has only made it angrier. To his astonishment, the sand golem uses the sand to leap high into the air, and Sung-young watches in surprise. He realizes that dodging won't be the problem. The challenge lies in dealing with the golem when it lands. The sand golem crashes to the ground, creating a massive wave of sand behind Sung-young, leaving him in a perilous situation. Sung-young finds himself partially buried in sand after the sand golem's impact. He expresses frustration but quickly gets up and prepares to continue the fight. His skill, 3 lacerations, activates and a skill window appears describing its basic effect. This skill enhances 3 successive sword-type attacks, with each attack increasing in cutting power. Sung-young takes advantage of this skill and delivers a powerful strike to the golem's arm. He reflects on the intruder who invaded his floor and considers whether he should now be grateful for the incident. While the golem can regenerate its parts with sand, Sung-Yum understands that he needs to keep slicing it up to locate the core stone. Sung-Yum methodically dismembers the sand golem into numerous small pieces, still searching for its elusive core stone. Frustrated by the golem's persistence, he starts talking to it, noting that it's become quite small now, suggesting that it must be running out of sand to maintain its size. He suddenly realizes something and asks the golem when it got so cute. The golem blushes, appearing flustered. Sung-Yum explains that the golem's body relies on sand as its primary resource, but it can't continuously produce more in this environment, hence its reduced size. He gives the golem an evil look and says it's time for it to go on a diet, causing the golem to scream in response. Sung-Yum jumps toward the golem as its punch approaches him. He spins around, kicking the golem's hand and cutting its arms and legs. As the golem gets smaller, the core stone starts to emerge from its body. Sung-Yum spots it on the golem's back and realizes it was challenging to locate due to the golem's thickness. Sung-Yum reflects that it took him 10 minutes to reach this point, and he reminds himself that the 7th floor's trial has a duration of only 40 minutes, so he needs to hurry. The golem attempts to punch him again, but Sung-Yum deftly dodges every blow, remarking on the golem's improved speed due to its diet. He suddenly appears behind the golem and stabs the core, causing it to break into pieces. The system acknowledges his victory and confirms that he has overcome his fear in this trial. As the first trial ends, a bright light appears behind Sung-Yum, revealing the golem's soul. He spots it and thinks, nice, the golem's soul. However, when he tries to obtain the soul, he is unable to do so. The system informs him that he has failed to extract the soul, leaving him annoyed and frustrated. He mutters about his proficiency. The system quickly announces that he will now be entering the area of the second trial, where he must prove that he has overcome his own wisdom. Sung-Yum enters the second trial area and recognizes it as the orc village from the second floor's trial. He notes that the current trials are materializing scenarios from the previous floors. As he steps out of a house, he is confronted by a multitude of angry orcs. He realizes that these are hunter orcs and recalls that during the second floor trial he had destroyed the orc village. The orcs are furious to see him and they begin screaming loudly, which Sung-Yum recognizes as a sign of them going berserk. Sung-Yum isn't pleased with his luck, realizing that berserk orcs are no ordinary E-rank monsters. The enraged orcs start charging towards him, presenting a challenging situation. Sung-Yum gets ready to face the berserk orc hunters, noting that these creatures can't make it obvious that they're hurting from losing their family. He activates his skills, instant acceleration, and 3 lacerations and jumps towards them. He says that at least they won't show their pain in front of him. In the next scene, one of the orc hunters is seen kneeling, while the rest of the orc hunters lie dead. Sung-Yum comments on their helplessness, stating that they have to stand by and watch as their family dies. He swiftly attacks the remaining orc hunter, easily dodging the orc's desperate strike and beheading him. The system then informs him that he has proven his wisdom in the second trial, and Sung-Yum decides it's time to absorb the souls of the dead orcs. The system notifies him that his proficiency has increased by 6%, and he now possesses 19 out of 30 souls, bringing him closer to his goal. Sung-Yum feels a sense of satisfaction as he absorbs the souls and witnesses the improvement of his skills. The system informs him that the Hunter Dagger skill has reached 100% proficiency. Leveling up to a D rank and instant acceleration has also reached 100% proficiency, leveling up to D+ rank. As he prepares to enter the area of the third trial, the system instructs him to prove that he has overcome his hesitation. Sung-Yum observes his surroundings and remarks that this trial seems to be all over the place. He finds himself back in the 6th floor area, specifically to capture the area from the 6th floor. He realizes that the trials on the 1st and 2nd floors were replicated, so he expected the same for the 3rd floor. However, the arrangement of the tiles is different, leaving him to conclude that the tower doesn't always follow logical patterns. Sung-Yum decides to use a health potion, a rank D, recovery item from his inventory. This special recovery potion is rich in vitality and can restore 20% of stamina and magic power. After drinking the potion, he feels better, and he disposes of the bottle by throwing it into the water, joking about polluting the Tower of Trials. Suddenly, the path starts to blow up from one side due to his action. Sung-Yum quickly activates the effect of the Assassin's Cape, a rank D item that increases his movement speed by 15%. With improved speed, he starts running, realizing that he must find the red capture tile without touching the water. He notes that he's faster now and he can stay ahead of the water. However, he eventually touches the water, which leads to a penalty. All his basic stats decrease by 10. Disappointed, Sung-Yum acknowledges that he expected the Tower of Trials to follow some logic, but realizes that it's not the case. He is sent flying as a consequence of his misstep but remains determined to survive. He activates instant acceleration, allowing him to jump from one tile to another. confidently stating that he won't die in a place like this. Sun Yung spots the red captured tile in the distance and thinks that he's close to the end of this challenging trial. As he approaches the tile, a water tornado forms around him, indicating that the water is relentlessly pursuing him. Sun Yung acknowledges the relentless pursuit and smiles, realizing that he's almost there. The water tornado strikes him from behind, but the effect of the iron protection from his rank B iron pendant activates, absorbing 10% of the physical damage. While the absorbed damage harms the orc hunter soul he possesses, he reflects that the shield saved him from taking damage from the shock. Determined to reach the red tile, Sun Yung continues running. The system notifies him that the exclusive effect of the assassin's cape has been deactivated, and he's growing exhausted. With his stamina running low, he knows that if instant acceleration gets deactivated too, he'll be in a difficult situation. As Sun Yung approaches the red tile, the last tile in the sequence blows up, leaving him in a precarious situation. He decides to use his shield and exert all of his strength to leap through the water, using one of the orc hunter souls he possesses. In a tense moment, he goes high into the air, about to fall onto the red tile. Feeling the fear of not making it, Sun Yung screams and uses 2 more orc hunter souls to boost his efforts. With only 12 souls left, all the water tornadoes suddenly stop, and the system announces that the 3rd trial has concluded. The water that had been in the tornadoes falls on him, frustrating him. Sun Yung vents his frustration, calling the trial annoying till the very end. Nevertheless, the system congratulates him for completing the 7th floor of the Tower of Trials, acknowledging his tenacity in the face of adversity. Sun Yung receives his rewards for completing the 7th floor of the Tower of Trials. He gains the Skill Wins Grace at rank N-, earns 15,000 points, and obtains the item Fast Boots at rank C+. As he walks toward the portal, he reflects on the trial and expresses his unease about the upcoming 8th floor trial, recognizing that luck may not be on his side. However, the lobby begins to shake, and the system announces several significant changes. It mentions that 1,000 people have completed the 7th floor's trial and a system expansion is underway. A skill shop, permanent return option, and floor-invading system are introduced. Sun Yung is intrigued by these developments, but is particularly interested in the option to choose a halo. The system explains that challengers with a halo will receive unique traits, skills, and effects. Sun Yung must carefully select his halo, considering the benefits he can gain as a pioneer in all floors. Sun Yung is taken aback by the unusual advice given by the Tower of Trials. He realizes that the choice of his halo is significant and likely carries a special meaning. Sun Yung considers the 3 halo options presented to him: Ruler, Hunter, and Monk. He decides to read the descriptions for each before making his choice. The description for the Ruler halo indicates that it adapts based on an individual's performance and is more of a universal type. It has a strong connection to unique traits and can significantly boost potential in various areas, including combat, growth, support, and creation. It also mentions a unique authority skill called synthesization, and the system suggests that this is the most suitable halo for him. Next, he reviews the Hunter halo, which emphasizes adaptability and the enhancement of abilities and skills. While it's a reasonable choice, it doesn't seem as tailored to him as the Ruler option. Finally, Sun Yung evaluates the Monk halo, which values dedication and perseverance, but may require more time and talent. However, he quickly dismisses this option as unsuitable for his preferences. After weighing the pros and cons, Sun Yung decides to go with a Ruler halo. The Tower of Trials confirms his choice, and he eagerly awaits the effects and benefits it will bring to his journey. Sun Yung is intrigued by the effects of the Ruler halo, which initiates the evolution of his unique trait. He is presented with various choices based on his current abilities. First, he considers the option of becoming a summoner, allowing him to raise powerful undead skeletons using the absorbed souls. This choice intrigues him, but he wants to explore the other possibilities. Next, he contemplates becoming a magic swordsman. This choice promises an increase in both swordsmanship and magic skills and the opportunity to learn related skills 3 times faster. Sun Yung finds this option appealing. Finally, he reviews the possibility of becoming a creator, which focuses on item creation skills and increases the speed of learning related skills. While it's a tempting option, Sun Yung feels drawn to the magic swordsman path. In the end, Sun Yung decides to become a magic swordsman, believing that this choice will best complement his existing skills and abilities. He eagerly awaits the new opportunities and challenges this path will bring. Sun Yung excitedly examines his updated status window, which now displays the effects of his Ruler halo. His attributes have seen improvements in strength, stamina, agility, magic power, durability, and more. Additionally, he now possesses the unique trait of Necromancy at rank D. Sun Yung eagerly activates the unique authority skill Synthesization, which allows him to combine any 2 skills. He's aware that if the chosen skills differ in rank, the one with the higher rank will become the core skill. Sungyung is excited about the prospect of combining two skills to create a new one. He selects Extinction of the Weak at rank F and Combat Continuation, also at rank F for the synthesis. Confirming his choice, he eagerly waits for the process to complete. The system informs him that the synthesization has been successful, resulting in the creation of a new skin. Sungyung successfully obtains a new skill called Forceful Breakthrough at rank D, and he carefully examines the skill's details. He notes that it allows him to break through innate traits with certain restrictions, but it requires his mana level to be higher than the magic being used on him. Despite expecting an E-rank skill, he remains satisfied with this newly acquired D-rank skill, recognizing its potential for overcoming various challenges in the Tower of Trials. Sungyung decides to continue experimenting with skill synthesis. He selects Ranger's Knowledge at rank F and Fire Resistance at rank F for the synthesis process. The system completes the skill synthesis and Sungyung gains a new skill named Strengthen Eyes at rank E. Sungyung checks his new skill, Strengthen Eyes, which is just an E rank. It's supposed to help him see better, especially in tricky places. He's a bit disappointed that it only went up one rank. He figures maybe the skills he combined this time didn't match as well as the ones before, like Extinction of the Weak and Combat Continuation, which worked nicely together. Sungyung lies down on his bed and starts thinking about everything. He got the Halo reward for being a consistent pioneer in all of floors. But now he's wondering, did he really earn all this through his own effort, or was it just luck because of his unique trait? Negating all the negative thoughts, he gets up and decides to check all his rewards. He examines the Wind's Grace skill he received. It's a rank A skill with a simple yet powerful effect. By uttering the skill's name, he can boost all his speeds by 10%. What makes it even better is that he can stack it up to 7 times, potentially increasing his speeds by a total of 70%. The only catch is that there's a 1-day cooldown after reaching the maximum stack count. What makes it even better is that this skill doesn't consume magic power, meaning it has no disadvantages. Sungyung opens his inventory and equips the fast boots with a rank of C+. These boots offer a 3% increase in attack speed and a 5% boost in movement speed. Crafted with magic engineering, these boots also have tiny wings that enhance swiftness. Sungyung is pleased that all the rewards from the 7th floor are related to speed, which is a significant advantage for his future challenges. Sungyung opens the skill shop and finds a list of skills available for purchase. He notices that the skills in the shop aren't particularly high-ranked, and they come with a hefty price tag. He thinks that instant acceleration is costly at 8,000 points. However, he decides to buy a magic-type skill, purchasing Mana Circuit and Mana Resistance. Mana Circuit costs 15,000 points, while Mana Resistance costs 12,000 points. Sungyung is aware that the Mana Resistance skill offers his body resistance against mana and enhances his resistance to other people's mana. However, he also knows that if he doesn't have the Mana Circuit skill, the effect of mana resistance will decrease significantly. Sungyung contemplates the benefits of having the Mana Resistance skill and recognizes its value as a defense against abilities like Heart Solidarity. He proceeds to test the newly acquired skill, Mana Circuit. As he activates it, he feels a surge of magical energy coursing through his body. The mana circuits are formed within him, and he senses a lightness in his body. Sungyung stands up and notices the sensation in his body. He walks towards the center of the room, covering his foot with mana, ready to explore the new abilities he's gained. Sungyung tests the enhanced physical abilities he gained from the Mana Circuit skill, generating a powerful shockwave with a kick. He realizes the value of the skill and acknowledges that purchasing it was a wise decision. As he contemplates his next move, a message appears, introducing a new summoning ability using the souls of the dead to reanimate a corpse. Sungyung is curious about this ability and wants to test it in a real battle. He knows he must decide whether to challenge the next floor's trial or return to Earth. Back on Earth, a hunter is sitting on a park bench, checking his phone for party recruitment notices. He comes across an urgent gate recruitment notice in the Great Cataclysm Memorial Park seeking tanks, healers, and hunters with a D- rank or above. However, there are no applicants listed. The hunter wonders why there are no applicants, and just then, a group of men approaches him. They comment on the lack of party members and point out a massive gate that has appeared nearby, offering a chance to enter. The men continue to pressure the hunter, urging him to give them the dungeon raid grant. They mention that if the raid doesn't start within the allotted time, the grant will expire automatically. The hunter remains firm in his decision not to hand it over. They taunt him, calling him names and pointing out that many hunters have gathered in the park, yet no one wants to join his party due to his low E-rank status. The situation becomes increasingly uncomfortable for the hunter as others comment on his party openings. Han Sung-young arrives at the scene and introduces himself as a C-rank hunter. He presents his hunter's license as proof of his rank. The bad hunter, who was pressuring the E-rank hunter earlier, grabs Sung-young's shoulder and tries to discourage him. However, Sung-young responds confidently, suggesting that the envious hunter should consider applying to Lee Cheol-won's party. This infuriates the bad hunter and he threatens Sung-young. In response, Sung-young warns him to remove his hand before he takes action.